On anxiety. This is probably not a subject I would have mused about for 3-4 years ago before COVID. But now when I talk to my friends and family, what strikes me, and when I listen to the media or watch television, what strikes me as one of the defining characteristics of the moment, it seems to be anxiety. There are books called The Age of Anxiety talking about other periods in history, and some have been more anxious than others. But ours does seem very anxious. It's a difficult word to define, and I suppose it means a sense of unease, a sense of slight foreboding, a sense of uncertainty about where things are going and how your future will be. So it's a diffused sense of waiting for something, which you can't tell exactly what it is. And that seems to be very characteristic. It's not surprising because COVID was a completely unexpected world pandemic. The present Ukraine war was, for many people, totally unexpected. The rapid onset of global warming is much more rapid and much more devastating than anyone had expected. So what else is going to hit us on the nose? We ask ourselves. And so there is a global or existential wide anxiety about the state of the world, and the fact that we watch 24 hours or cycle news, or even those who don't actually watch the news get it filtered through all sorts of other indirect ways on their smartphones and so on. That all adds to the anxiety. When I was growing up, you had the radio, you just listened and you heard about one or two things. Now you, if you so wish, you can watch the latest disastrous fires or wars or refugees or whatever all over the world, and no wonder you're anxious. It's over there now, but when will it be here? And so the stimulus to anxiety is much greater. There's also the anxiety caused by very rapid changes. These are at all levels. There's the anxiety of technological changes. Technology is changing so fast that to keep up and to master it is very difficult, and it has an invisible effect. The technologies of communication, the growth of artificial intelligence, all these have invisible effects on the way we consider the world, and people are deeply affected by that. And one way is that they are constantly being disturbed. There is, if you watch people walking around our village, many of them are just not looking around at nature or anything else. They're listening to something or holding conversations or looking at their smartphones. And so you are constantly being interrupted, bombarded by stimuli and often bad news. So there's technological change. There's a huge change in identities, all the certainties of whether you are a male or a female, or racial discrimination, or all sorts of features of your identity are being challenged all the time. There are movements to change identities, there are cultural wars, and so on. So basically, we live in a turbulent sort of environment. Even if you appear to be living in a peaceful, calm place, as I am in a Cambridgeshire village, you feel a sort of surge or waves. The waves may be a little far away, and the surge may be slightly muffled by age and retirement and relative affluence, but they are there. And if you are closer to those waves, as many of my young friends are, considering the future and wondering how they are going to cope, faced with challenges of a kind that they didn't expect, then the anxiety is likely to be higher. And it's difficult to, in a short talk, give any advice on what you do about it. But the first thing is to recognize that there are causes of anxiety, but that we are not the first age of anxiety. We won't be the last. And as human beings, we will, unless we blow ourselves up, probably survive.